The Federal Bureau of Investigations are embedded inside of our law enforcement agencies, okay? We have rotten elements, the most rotten elements of the Federal Bureau of Investigations embedded inside of our Australian Federal Police. This is the same fucking Federal Police that sat back and endorsed the open murder of the Assistant Police Commissioner Colin Winchester, who got 2 9mm bullets in the back of his head in his car when I was the president of the Trades Hall Council. And Colin Winchester was a good man. He was a good man. And just like Port Arthur, they set up a loner. This time it was Harold Charles Eastman.
Canberra Police Chief Colin Winchester has given up the fight to suppress his identity. He's 43-year-old David Harold Eastman, a former Treasury Department officer.
The Winchester inquest, now in its 4th week, has looked at evidence from the policeman's family, police forensic experts, and concentrated for over a week on evidence concerning this Canberra man, David Eastman. A former senior finance officer in the Treasury, it was revealed in earlier evidence that Eastman was seen to be angry with the Assistant Commissioner when Mr. Winchester refused to help him over an assault charge. There's also been evidence about gunshot propellant found in the boot of Mr. Eastman's car. His counsel says this evidence is circumstantial and that the propellant couldn't be matched conclusively with the murder scene. However, ACT Chief Magistrate and Coroner Ron Carl seems to think the case against Eastman is stronger. Mr. Carl allowed Eastman's name to remain suppressed until now, although he threatened to lift the order because there was significant evidence against Mr. Eastman, which makes him a serious suspect. The suppression order was lifted today at Mr. Eastman's request after the Justice Minister refused further financial assistance to take the matter before the full bench of the Federal Court. Janet Gibson, Canberra.
And I knew Harold Charles Eastman. He was a public servant. He was a nutcase, but he was a public servant. He was worked inside of the bureaucracy. They set him up and charged him and had him convicted for the murder of Colin Winchester and locked him away for 20 years. 20 fucking years he spent in jail, only then to be found. A miscarriage of justice. He was innocent. They released him. They gave him $1 million plus and non-disclosure agreement and said, don't you ever talk about this to anyone. Anyone. Okay? So still 30 years after the murder of Australia's most senior police officer, a decent man, a man that I held in high regard. 30 years later, this lousy, corrupt Australian Federal Police still can't put their finger on his murderer. And the Federal